everybody, today I'm going to be creating a card using the Altenew Peony Bouquet stamp set, and I'm going to be using some Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers to color the images on some watercolor paper. I'm taking some VersaMark ink and I'm going to be inking up the outline layer of the stamp. These are layering stamps, so it comes, I think, like 3 or 4 stamps per flower or image in the stamp set. And I am going to be coloring them with the Zig markers, like I said. And so I take the VersaMark ink, ink it up really, really well, stamp it on the watercolor paper. And you want to make sure that you get a lot of the VersaMark ink onto the stamp because the watercolor paper is going to absorb some of that ink. And then I use some super fine embossing powder and I heat emboss that. And then once that is done, I'm going to take these markers, and they are geranium red, light pink, olive green, and light carmine, I believe. I think that's what they said. When I got the markers, I was trying to use them on watercolor paper, and I did not like the results. It wasn't turning out for me, and I decided to get some higher quality watercolor paper. So I have the Strathmore watercolor paper, and I know it's not like the best quality or anything, but before I was using the Prima watercolor paper, and that's more like crafting grade. So I'm trying this out and I really like the end result. And so what I do is I take the water brush and add a little bit of water to the petal, the one that I want to color. And I'm taking the lightest color first, and then I pounce it on instead of brush strokes, if that makes sense. I find that this is easier and it blends a little bit better, I think. Of course, I'm not an expert and I still have a lot to learn, but I'm just having fun, and it was so relaxing. It was actually so relaxing that I didn't even realize by the time I was done with the card, it was 4:30 in the morning. It was just so relaxing just to sit here and color, and I was catching up on shows, and time got away from me, and I have really been enjoying crafting again and the process of crafting. I was beginning to be in like a creative rut for a while, and I decided that I needed to step down from, well, not step down, I didn't leave any design teams, but I just didn't try out for any new ones. And once my term was up with Prima, I decided not to stay or try out again. And it's been such a relief for me that I just have so much more inspiration, and I have been, like I said, enjoying the process again. All right, so enough rambling. So how I have my lights, I don't know if you've seen the last video I put up. I have my lights pointed up, and it's not ideal for this situation how I am watercoloring the images, and it's white on white, so I can't really see the outline. So that's why I'm kind of picking it up, and I sometimes go off camera, and I apologize for that. But I just do the same process. I add a little bit of water, and I don't clean off the brush, so if there's a little bit of red or pink on the brush, it's totally fine for me when I add the water to the next petal. The water brushes that I like to use is the Pentel brushes, and I got the pack of 3 from Amazon. I believe it was like $12. And I got the Zig markers on Amazon as well, and I believe they were like $120 for the pack of 80, and I have had no problems with them. They work perfectly fine, and I'm not exactly sure why they're so cheap on Amazon, but they are. And so if you've been looking for them, I would definitely check out the ones you can get on Amazon because they're so much cheaper. Just a couple tips while I am coloring these petals here. I find that when I'm using the markers and the watercolor paper together, I have to add quite a bit of water to the little where I'm wanting the color to be, and that way it blends really nicely. When I add a little bit of water, it doesn't blend as nicely, and I have to work a little bit faster to blend those colors together. And sometimes I got a harsh line. That's why I didn't like using the watercolor paper in the beginning. So again, I just add a little bit more water than I normally would if I was using watercolors. And also, I like to have like a paper towel or an extra little piece of paper because these markers are water-based. When you add it to the water on the paper, it kind of waters the marker down, the tip down, so you're not going to get the full effect of the color, if that makes sense. The color is going to not be as saturated, so I just brush it off onto the paper towel, and that brings all that color back to the tip of the marker. I hope you enjoyed the process of watching me color these, or this image I should say. I did end up coloring quite a few, and you could see here that I got a different result, but using the same techniques and just playing around with what I like to do and what works for me. So I colored the little teeny tiny flowers and then also the big ones. So I have stamped out quite a bit of them and colored them. That's why I was up so late. It was just so relaxing. And I use the same technique, same colors for each flower, and then I cut them out. I don't have the dies. When I do this, I regret buying the dies, but then when I go and I feel like I want to buy them, then I'm reminded of how expensive they are. So anyway, so I am taking some of the leaves from the stamp set and I am heat embossing them with the white embossing powder. And then this is actually the Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I really love how the markers work on this cardstock. And I take the light olive, I believe, or green olive color, and I'm just adding a little bit of that green color so that it shows through. I am creating this card for the Altenew Inspiration Challenge. And the colors are green, white, red, and pink. So be sure to go check out the Altenew Inspiration Challenge, and I'll have a link over to that on my blog, so be sure to check the description box below. The leaves are so small, I find it very hard to do any type of shading, and especially with the embossing powder, it just makes them that much smaller. So I'm not doing any type of, special techniques or anything. I have all of my stamped images laid out how I want them, and I do struggle with the whole composition and design of the card, and I am actually going to leave all of that in. I struggled. I stamped twice and I didn't get exactly where I wanted it, and that's okay. It's part of the process. The ink I'm using is from Prima. It's one of the color philosophy inks, and it's the color Wasabi. I wanted a little bit of variation with the colors, and because there was white in the challenge, I decided not to color these little teeny tiny leaves, and I just left them white. A lot of what I am stamping out is going to be covered up, and that's okay with me. If you've watched me for a long time, that is part of my process, and it all adds to the end result of the project. I am loving how this card is turning out, and normally I would not use such bright colors to color with. I have been loving the blues and the aquas and the teals and all in the blue family, blue-green family. But when I saw the challenge, I decided to try it out. And again, I love stepping out of my comfort zone and trying something new. And I just feel that it expands my creativity and just reminds me that nothing has to be perfect, or it's okay to be a little weary of trying something new, but as long as you try it and have fun with creating, that's all that matters. I took a couple more of the leaves from the stamp set and I embossed them with the white embossing powder and then colored them with the green olive zig marker. And I just cut them out and then just adding them behind the flowers just to add a little bit more dimension to my project. And I wanted this one to hang off a little bit, and I didn't know how it was going to turn out. but it did, and I love my card, like I've said probably like 10 times already. I just love it when I try something new and it exceeds my own expectations. Like, I just am in love with how the images turned out and the coloring and everything. I never would have thought that I could do this. So just step out of your comfort zone sometimes and try something new, even if you are not sure about the end result. Just like I said, just enjoy the process, and that is the most important thing, I think, when we are crafting. I do add a sentiment to the card that I did not show, but that basically completes the card. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. And be sure to check the description box below and check out my blog. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.